Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN and ESPNMilwaukee.com, along with the man they call Meathead. I'm Frank Cosentino. What a night. Pay-per-view style. It's Sunday, and it's a weird night. It's usually Monday, and now we're at Sunday.
Sunday. Big Daddy Don got it raising at the big track. Oh, yeah.
We had a big pay-per-view tonight, which we will go over. And what's even more important, the host of this show just happened to be live in Orlando. Damian Nelson, he's now locked in. Damian, how are you?
I couldn't be better, Frank. I'm in my second favorite city in the world, second only to Las Vegas, Nevada, Orlando, Florida, coming off the heels of TNA Victory Road. I can't wait to talk about it with you guys.
The fans will also be talking with us this evening. You can call in locally, 414-276-3776. You're outside Milwaukee and all over the world at 800-990-3776. We will go match by match of tonight's Victory Road. We'll also talk about news in the WWE, everything that's going on in wrestling right now.
We've also got Show of the Week. We've got the fantasy draft results, and unfortunately, yes, we're bringing them up, Damian.
I call six already.
Whatever. Whatever.
Is in.
Beat the Meat, I think we're doing tonight as well. And we want your phone calls. And Frank already gave you the number, if you haven't called in yet.
But I want to ask, not only as, whatever questions you have and thoughts on the pay-per-view tonight, but I want your thoughts on this pay-per-view and where it was held as in Orlando and not outside in the city. Would it be best for TNA on their pay-per-views to get out of Orlando and to be, doesn't matter where it is, but in a city that you can get a certain amount of fans? I want
Frank,
your thoughts
why
on
would
that.
anybody want to leave Orlando?
I didn't, you know what?
I'm thinking of moving here.
Damian, you know what? And speaking of Orlando, we'll get to that in a second, buddy. But why wouldn't they just maybe move it to a bigger building in Orlando? Hell, just move out of Universal Studios, go down to the Amway or something.
Yeah, it would be, I don't know, but we want the fans to come out and let us know what your thought is. Did it keep this thing going? Were you into the pay-per-view tonight? Did it feel like a pay-per-view? We want your thoughts. Again, 414-276-3776, 800-990-3776 are the phone numbers. Damien, you were live there. Your initial thoughts on the atmosphere of a pay-per-view at Universal Studios?
Frank, I'd have to say that I've been to last pay-per-view here in Orlando at the Impact Zone that I was at was TNA Genesis back in 2007, I believe it was, when Booker T made his big debut. The crowd atmosphere was definitely different. It wasn't the same, and it wasn't the same for the better. For the worse, I mean. The crowd not as into it, but certainly following along the action. I was talking with Dave Hero many times tonight over the course of the program, and he made note that at home the audience reactions were not very well done. So there were a lot of points tonight that I'll point out as we go over the course of this review and this wrap-up where there was a bigger fan reaction than what may have translated on TV. But overall, there were fans lined up early for this show, fans lined up during the show, coming in, and every seat was full. It was a pay-per-view style atmosphere with the delivery of this particular night of TNA action.
Well, Damien, I was watching the pay-per-view as well tonight, and I understand what Dave was talking about as far as, the final two matches. I'd say the final two matches felt very, very flat.
Yeah, we'll get to that match by match.
Well, I'll say those final two matches were very well paced, though, and I understand how today's wrestling fan may not be able to appreciate that.
Let's go to the phones and speak to Daniel from the Lone Star State of Texas. Daniel, you're on the Pro Wrestling Report.
Yeah, no, I was actually, Cos talked about the pay-per-view being in the Impact Zone.
Yeah.
And I was complaining about that in the chatmosphere pretty much all
night.
It felt like I was, whatever. It sounded like I was, or it felt like, rather, I was watching Impact, which is a free program on Spike TV.
Mm-hmm.
And, I was pretty much the only person in the chat room that paid for watching the show. And I have to say, in the last, this is the fourth consecutive TNA pay-per-view I got, and I was the most disappointed with this one.
Okay, what made it disappointing for you?
Well, first of all, you knew going in it was going to be main event mafia sweeping it. I mean,
Daniel, you may have known that, but you may have hoped against it.
I did, and that's why I got the pay-per-view.
Yeah.
But then it was kind of a disappointment. I would have rather seen Suicide versus Homicide than Jenna versus Sharmell.
That was, sweet Lord. The one word sums up that particular contest, and that is horrible.
Right.
Horrible.
With a W.
I had the privilege of overhearing a conversation regarding what happened in that particular matchup. And let's remember, folks, Jenna's got some personal issues she's dealing with. Her boyfriend's dealing with a battle with cancer right now. This match was sort of thrown together over the course of the last several weeks. Maybe she didn't get as much training as she needed to get. But either way, to be delivered on a pay-per-view, this was very disappointing.
Yeah, I mean, she didn't sell anything. I mean, nothing. And the crowd was so dead during that match.
She put definition to the term that we've heard many a time before, no sell bitch.
Yeah. And to be completely honest, how much was she going to sell anyway? With as much training as she could have gotten, if she would have had the time, she wasn't going to sell. She's not a wrestler.
And that's a great point, because let's remember, you don't learn wrestling in a couple of weeks. You don't learn wrestling in a month. She's not a wrestler.
No.
It takes years, and it takes a lot of commitment to become a professional wrestler. And when you look at how great the Knockouts division is, you look at that earlier matchup between Angelina Love and Tara, you see what the Knockouts can deliver. And then to have a match later on, while they're not defined as Knockouts, but to have a match later on between two females that almost crapped over the entire division is unacceptable.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm sorry. My 10-year-old boy can sell better than that. I mean, I get your argument, but people, I mean, she could have done better, I think. I mean, but that's just me.
Well, Daniel,
they should have switched it up, though, back to the Impact Zone thing.
Yeah.
Fine, if they're going to do it there, if they're not going to take it on the road because of money or whatever they're whining about, switch it up a little bit. Don't make it look exactly like an episode of Impact.
I agree with that. I think it should be out of the Impact Zone for pay-per-views only. If financially, they'll have to make it work, but you're right on the head as far as, in my opinion, also, Daniel. But thank you for the call. We appreciate it.
No problem. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Daniel.
And now joining us in the studio, Mr. Dave Hero. Dave,
welcome to the top of the program.
Hey, I made it, right? A few minutes late, but I'm here.
Well, for those of you in the Milwaukee area, we have Festa going on right now. It's hard to get a parking spot in this area.
You would think also with the resident Italian of the show here and having been a volunteer at Festa today, a cannoli would have made its way into the studio.
Or a finoli.
A cannoli, a Vito.
Hey, we're just lucky a Costantino made it into the
That's
studio.
right. A Nunzio, anything could have made it into the studio.
Made it happen. The phone number is again 414-276-3776, 800-990-3776. Dave, I want to ask you right off the bat, should TNA have their pay-per-views out of the Impact Zone?
They need to leave there quick, because with their TV tapings, they can pipe in all the noise they want. Mm-hmm. When it's a live pay-per-view, honestly, I felt like I was at an indie show, just watching it on TV. The fans were sitting on their hands. The fans that were there didn't even look like wrestling fans. Just
and Dave, I will say to that point, the fans generally opposite the camera, those were the first ones in. Those were the ones that were waiting for hours to get in. Those were the TNA hardcore fans. Those were the most vocal of fans, and I appreciate the fact that it probably didn't come off as good on TV as it did live. You're always going to have a better report of a live event experience than you will of a broadcast event experience, but the crowd was fairly vocal at several points throughout the night. I wouldn't say they were at the expected points of the night, though.
Well, anything that they had building, they lost with the Jenna Morasco match.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Damon, was there a dark match in this thing?
Yeah, it was the opening match.
There was no dark match.
It just went right into
the dark match. Was JB hyping up the crowd and the fans wishing him happy birthday.
You know what? For me, the opening match with the two knockouts, that almost felt like a dark match to me.
Yeah.
That was the question I was going to ask you, Damien. When normally on a pay-per-view you want a match that's going to be, I don't know, you have your high flyers or however you want to call it, get this thing going, get the fans into it, maybe some high spots here or there. You have a TNA Knockouts Championship match. Now, granted, it's a championship match, which is good, but is that the type of match that you want kicking off a pay-per-view?
No.
I thought this was a great start to the pay-per-view. The beautiful people are very over, and I'm not sure if people appreciate enough just how good Angelina Love is as a performer overall. I'm not talking about her wrestling abilities, but her performance overall. I thought this was a strong start to the match. The fans were into it. The beautiful people have a ton of heat. And again, it may not have translated very well on TV, but it was very well delivered in Orlando, Florida here in the
Why
Impact
didn't
Zone.
she
And
come
again,
out in the beekeeper suit? I mean, that was sexy. I was digging it.
I got some great pictures for you, Meathead, that you might need to view alone.
Giggity.
Hey, Frank, you know what? If you look at the matches on the show, what match would open it up?
You know, that's a good question.
They certainly couldn't have done it with Jenna Sharmell.
It could have been Matt Morgan and Daniels.
Yeah, but you don't start the show with a big guy, little guy match. No, but there wasn't one cruiserweight match. There wasn't one high-flying match.
All right, then Abyss and Dr. Stevie. I don't know. It's tough. It is tough. I mean,
Angelina Love, though, does get the win and gets back her TNA Knockouts championship. Granted, this foot was on the ropes, and we saw some stuff afterwards with the referee Slick Johnson, which I'm not sure how much more annoying he can be, but be that as it may, I thought this match was very good. The fans ate it up, and the finish I thought was well delivered.
And the tarantula?
It all came together.
It all fit.
I'm just waiting for Frankie and Matilda to show up and everybody else to have an animal.
Who would win? Is it like a game of paper, rock, scissors?
That's Rochambeau, my friend.
Let's go to the phones and speak to Mike in Orlando. Mike, you're on the Pro Wrestling Report.
Hey, guys, what's going on?
Not much, Mike. How are you?
Pretty good. Damien, I'm actually the guy that ran into you in the Impact Zone later today. If you
stalker,
recall.
Damien.
Tell Meathead what you told me.
I told him that Damien's pay-per-view this month was better than Meathead. I have to be honest about it.
Mike, what did you think of Victory Road tonight?
I liked it. I think the one thing it had over any of WWE's pay-per-views this month so far is the fact that it had a lot of big payoffs. You had the payoff in the Abyss Stevie Richards matchup where we finally got the whole story full circle. You know, we got the payoff with Taz debuting during the Sting Joe matchup, and we got the big payoff, which was, you know, the Main Event Mafia coming out with all of the major TNA titles. So it gives me a reason to watch Impact.
And then watching Jenna do what she did, I got the payoff too.
That was painful. That matchup was.
Her entrance was painful.
No, the pin. I mean, the pin basically where she was putting out a jellyfish.
Oh, I thought she was going to sit somewhere else. That would have been
she
crossing
did.
the line for sure.
Mike, let me ask you, should TNA have their pay-per-views outside of the Impact Zone?
I think they should have the big pay-per-views outside of the Impact Zone. Lockdown, Slammiversary, Bound for Glory, and really establish them as something bigger, you know. WWE does a big job at establishing the Royal Rumble, SummerSlam now, and WrestleMania as their big pay-per-views. And I think
they don't do anything with Survivor Series.
But here's the question for all of you. If I'm supposed to shell out $40 or $30 respectively, shouldn't every pay-per-view be big? Shouldn't I have a reason to order every pay-per-view?
Absolutely.
There's no such thing as bigger or smaller pay-per-views. Obviously, WrestleMania is the destination pay-per-view event of the year, but if I'm going to be asked to pay money each month for a pay-per-view show, it should be special. So whether or not that happens in the Impact Zone regarding TNA or not, it should be special every single month.
Agreed. All right, Mike, thanks a lot for the phone call.
Oh, by the way, coded message to all my sheep. Bah, bah.
414-276-3776. You're outside Milwaukee and all over the world at 800-990-3776. Second match of the evening, Matt Morgan taking on Daniels. And
the DNA of TNA.
Yeah, you like that? I think that's catchy. I actually like that a lot. Dave Vera, what do you think?
Honestly, Daniels.
No, the DNA of TNA.
Oh, with Matt Morgan?
The gimmick, the DNA of TNA.
I don't know. I don't.
Really?
You know what? It's nice, but he has that nice robe. He comes out
and he trips on it
and
when he
dumps
kicks it off
before he gets to the ring. It's like, show it off.
Yeah, a little bit.
You know, I've been saying for months how much I've been taking a liking to Matt Morgan. Matt Morgan, who obviously came from World Wrestling Entertainment, was not as big a star as he is in TNA right now. He's an arrogant, cocky man, and he can be. And he's been delivering in the ring as of late. This match, in my opinion, tonight, Daniels versus Matt Morgan, over-delivered on my expectations. Okay. And Matt Morgan picking up the win was one step further in his journey to TNA stardom.
Morgan hit Daniels with the elevator to get the pinfall.
All right, Damien. Daniels was like the savior, 2 or 3 months ago for TNA? He was going to even the sides for the Mafia. Mm-hmm. Now he comes out and does the JOB in match number 2 of a pay-per-view.
Mm-hmm. That's a problem.
That's a huge problem. If anything, let Matt Morgan, somehow cheat to win. Don't beat him clean.
Here's the question, though. How many others could Matt Morgan have worked tonight and been in an equally decent match? Meaning, who else could have carried him?
AJ Styles, Suicide, any one of the Machine Guns.
Yep.
Who were not even on the show tonight, right?
No. Billy Gunn's weird.
I was very surprised by how good this match turned out. Maybe it's because my expectations were so low, but Matt Morgan has really come of his own over the course of the last few months in TNA, and I think tonight really solidified him as potentially a star that they have built and made and could go forward with over the next few months.
All right. Let's go to the phones and speak to David in Washington. And David, you're on the Pro Wrestling Report.
Hello?
Hello, David. Yeah, turn down your computer. Turn down your computer. We can hear it in the background. Turn it down. Do you have a question?
I don't have it close to me. That's why.
Okay.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, David.
Well, while we get that settled,
David, call back. But you need to turn the radio off.
Let's go to the next matchup, Frank. It was Abyss back in his old garb, pretty much, going up against Dr. Stevie in what I believe was Stevie's first match in TNA.
Yeah.
Stevie took a beating. He got owned tonight by Abyss.
Yeah, but you know what? I liked it. I was into the match, and the moment Daphne said to Dr. Stevie, "I love you," Daphne, I love you too.
Dr. Stevie goes, "I know."
I know. It was sexy. I dug it.
Well, do fans still remember or recognize how good Stevie Richards once was or can be? I was sitting next to a reporter from the Miami Herald, and we were talking about we were talking about Stevie Richards and his days back in ECW and his time in the BWO, his angle with Raven in ECW. Stevie Richards could be one of the most underrated talents in TNA right now.
Well, also, he had that really good gimmick in WWE when he was Right to Censor. I thought he led an amazing group.
This was a no DQ match, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
My question is, though, Abyss had him beat, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why did he use the smoking taser?
Because he was torturing him for all the torture he gave to him.
Wouldn't it have been better if Lauren would have used the taser on Stevie?
Yeah, but
no. Listen, boys. Why is Lauren involved in this angle? The moment she ran down the ringside, I said, "Oh crap, here we go again." This just doesn't, listen.
Hey, you're hot,
No, but here's the thing. When it pertains to JB, when it pertains to Lauren, they're backstage interviewers, they're on stage, or they're on-air talents for TNA. So you can't be crossing those lines or blurring those lines. I understand the whole angle with Lauren and Abyss, but how long has that gone now? And I have a lot of respect for Lauren. She's excellent at what she does, but I just don't like to see her or want to see her in an angle. I thought that was one of the black marks on this matchup.
That's a Vince Russo stamp.
And how was the crowd for this one there, Damien, live?
Before the girls came out.
You know what? The crowd was very into it. This one took some time out in the stands, out in the crowd. Dr. Stevie getting thrown head first several times into the walls back in the crowd of the TNA Impact Zone. Stevie really he earned his title
and
tonight as
hardcore. And his new entrance music.
Doctor's calling Dr. Stevie. Calling Dr. Stevie.
414-276-3776, 800-990-3776 are the phone numbers. When we come back, we continue with TNA's Victory Road, your phone calls, and much, much more. You're listening to the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN and ESPNMilwaukee.com. Welcome back to the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN and ESPNMilwaukee.com. You can join the program tonight, 414-276-3776. You're outside Milwaukee. All over the world at 800-990-3776.
Frank, if you weren't awake, you better be now, because that music really got my blood pumping.
What else gets your blood pumping?
That
Chop.
pin.
He loves chop.
That pin that Jenna had on Charmel.
Damien, you're still there, correct?
I am here.
All right.
Hi, Damien. Hey, Damien, we need the quick segue. Dave, I don't know if you were talking to Damien about this today at all. Down on the OBT, what kind of people did we see again today, Damien?
I saw no fewer than 10 whores.
What kind of, were they restaurant quality?
They were battered and old. Here's what I don't understand about Orange Blossom Trail here in Orlando, Florida, and I love it. It's one of my favorite streets in the world because it's so blatant. The prostitution is so blatant. I just don't get it. I don't understand. Maybe I should try to pick one up, see if I get colored.
Why don't you go back to your home on Whore Island?
Let's go to the phones and speak to Jay in California. Jay, you're on the Pro Wrestling Report.
Hi, how you guys doing?
Pretty good,
Hey, what's
Jay.
up, Jay?
I just want to talk a little bit. First of all, you guys were talking about the pay-per-views that should be held out of the Impact Zone.
Yeah.
I think definitely all of them. They use this excuse about saving money again, and you have to spend some money to make money. So I think
Good
definitely
point.
all of them.
Did you watch Victory Road then tonight?
Yeah, I watched it. It was okay. I think the highlights were, for me, probably the tag matches. The 2 tag matches were probably the best matches, I thought.
Okay.
So you enjoyed the Team 3D and the British Invasion. What do you think of British Invasion?
I think they're doing better. I think they're probably going to get a title shot somewhere down the line, but I don't know about their opponents. But Scott Steiner.
Yeah.
I was pretty impressed with Brutus Magnus tonight. From seeing what he was when he came into TNA and where he is now, in part of this tag team, and obviously his partner carries him quite a bit, as his partner did most of the wrestling in the match tonight.
It's the guy outside there that carries the team.
Well,
he's a tool.
Yeah,
there's
he can carry a lot.
There's no reason to have that guy there. You know,
it's kind of like watching the No Limit Soldiers when they had Big Swole. Do you remember that?
Absolutely.
Jay, what if you had to give a grade to tonight's? What would you think? What would you give the overall grade?
Oh boy, maybe 6 out of 10. Maybe.
Okay.
That's passing.
The real question, though, Frank, that we ask all the viewers is, was it worth the money?
Yeah, I don't think that one was worth $30. Maybe $15.
Well, not bad. I mean, that's
story
honest.
right there.
Yeah, that's honest.
Yeah, I think also one more thing. I don't know if you guys noticed or not. At the end of the pay-per-view, they put on a promo for Hard Justice. It's apparently going to be
hardcore.
Oh, hardcore. Yeah.
Well, that's good.
That was,
that's good. I didn't see that. They didn't show that to us in the Impact Zone. But if you look back at our interview, or the interview I did with Abyss from a couple of months ago, I asked him that question specifically. Does TNA need a hardcore division, or does TNA need to go more in a hardcore direction? He completely agreed. This is what would be different. This is what WWE doesn't offer. Even looking at Extreme Rules, there was not any hardcore as defined in the past days of wrestling on that show. If TNA does this right next month at Hard Justice, this could be good.
Yeah, I think that's they're going to do a lot better with this, and people like Dr. Stevie maybe even in there. So I'm looking forward to
I'd like to see Daphne get hardcore again, and I'm not even talking about wrestling. Hey, now!
Jay, thanks a lot for the phone call. We appreciate it. 414-276-3776, 800-990-3776. Let's continue on the phones and speak to Anthony in California. Anthony, you're on the Pro Wrestling Report.
Hey there, guys.
Hey, what's up, Anthony? Helmar, right?
Yes. First off, I didn't see the pay-per-view, so I'm not going to judge it like some people would do.
Okay.
But you guys have been saying that Matt Morgan's getting better, and I agree. He has gotten better, especially after the Abyss angle. But they can do something like with Sting, since he's rumored to be leaving around this year's Band of Glory, correct?
That is
that rumor comes up every year because he does a 12-month contract every year. So that rumor pops up every year that he's going to leave, and it was pretty heavily rumored last year that he wasn't going to resign, but he ended up doing so.
Yes, but since they're having Morgan saying, I want to join the Mafia, and they're making them basically do the grunt work for them. They could say, okay, you take out Sting. They go for the Bound for Glory. They let Sting lose to Morgan, and basically Sting says, you did great. Now it's up for you to do what you can do. And then Morgan says, screw you, Mafia. I'm going to freaking go against you guys.
Well, here's the question, and I'll pose this to Dave Hero because you're the Booker man on the show.
Booker man.
Matt Morgan is, in my view, believable. I believe Matt Morgan can deliver. I believe Matt Morgan can be a monster. I believe he's got the talent to be one of those top-level guys in TNA. Dave, would you agree or disagree?
Oh, no, I would agree. He's got the look. He's got the size. He's got everything you need. But the one thing he doesn't have to become part of the main event Mafia is he's not a former world champion.
Yeah. Not even in Tiddlywinks.
No. But I do agree. The best thing for Matt Morgan right now is to let him, try to get into the Mafia. They keep shutting him down. They keep saying, no, you can't get in. Then he does the babyface turn and go against them.
It's like Disco
Bobby
Inferno
Lashley.
trying to get into the NWO.
Oh, two different kinds of guys.
Actually, he did get an NWO.
Quote unquote, yeah, eventually.
But I mean, you're talking about Disco, who was a career jobber.
Oh,
the guy that the DNA of
how do you
TNA.
call him a career jobber when the man held two different titles in WCW?
Frank, how about the next match?
Oh, speaking of next match, what was worse, the Jenna Charmel match or the Teddy Long Eric Bischoff match?
You know what? There is everybody in the Impact Zone saw how horrible this match was. First, we were confused when Sojourner Broat got announced. We thought it had become a tag match. Luckily, well, not luckily, I guess, at the end of the day, but they were just going to be in the corners were Awesome Kong and Sojo. But, I mean, and I'm a big mark for Charmel, especially when she speaks. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, firstly, she wasn't even in wrestling gear. It wasn't like this match was made tonight. She knew it was coming up. Jenna she was painfully bad. Jim Ross said after a Divas match one night on Raw that was bowling shoe ugly, and he meant it. This was both bowling shoes ugly. This was a painful exhibition, and it really dropped the pay-per-view in that one match at that one moment, dropped the pay-per-view from any respectability it had at that point back down to starting over.
I guess it's safe to say that Jenna is now gone from TNA.
Pretty much.
I hope so. And, I was talking to some of the fans at ringside, and I want to get this in, too. There were a lot of fans that approached me tonight who are listeners and viewers of the show, and we appreciate that. It's always good to be out amongst the fans, and we always encourage you guys to come on up and say hi and talk to us, and we'll go ahead and encourage or go ahead and entertain any questions that you may have or photo ops or whatever it may be. But talking to
wait.
Photo ops? Yeah.
You're taking pictures down there with the
You know what, Dave? I can't say
pictures.
anything. Dave, I can't say anything because Damien and I did it when we were at WrestleMania. The guys kept running up on us. I'm sorry.
I'm somewhat of a celebrity. I don't know if you guys realize that.
Tillman, cut this call. This guy's got to go.
Back to the match. Jenna, aside from not selling anything, she was horrible. I mean, guys, I could have done better in that matchup, and I don't have a
How dare you, sir? How
I could have
dare
done better.
you?
Hey, I've never said that about a wrestling match before in my life, but I could have done better in that matchup. Jenna was painfully bad. But again, remember what I said earlier. She's dealing with some personal issues right now. I don't think her head was in it. I respect that. I understand that. But this match should not have been on this pay-per-view.
Let's go to the phones and speak to Bowman in Boston. Bowman, you're on the Pro Wrestling Report.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
What's up, Bowman?
Yeah, so I heard Damien's down there in the home of his favorite band, the Backstreet Boys.
Exactly. That's why he goes down there.
I mean, it was just interesting. He can be in many places. He was reffing on SmackDown and ECW this week. Now he's down.
I did a pretty good job there, did I?
Yeah.
Who's my brother from another mother?
I completely agree that TNA needs to get their pay-per-views out of the Impact Zone.
Yeah.
They are 7 years old, or however old they are now. It's time to a point where they need to get out of the Impact Zone. I mean, they wrestle 4 shows a month. I mean, and I don't know how many house shows they have. I think they have over 4 or 5 house shows.
Yeah.
Grab 2 of those and take that money and go into another arena. It doesn't even have to be large. It just has to be someplace else where it looks different.
Milwaukee Mecca Auditorium. I think it's a perfect building.
The problem
Dave.
is with the TNA pay-per-views is when they do go out to a building outside of the Impact Zone, they go to the 25,000-seat Palace in Auburn Hills.
Yeah, exactly. That's the other problem. Just like they They went when they were here in Massachusetts. They went out to Lowell. I forgot the name of the arena that's out there, but it's way bigger than what they're going to.
Yeah, the Paul Songus. Yeah, that's what it was.
That's way bigger than what they're going to pull.
And no disrespect to our wrestling fans out in California, but when I think of wrestling, I don't think of California.
No.
You know,
so now specifically L.A.
Here's a journalistic cardinal rule. You always want to leave people wanting more. With say running these large venues, when they do go on the road, they're not leaving anybody wanting more. They're not leaving people outside. You almost want to leave people outside. You want to say, we turn people away. You want to create an event where the demand is much higher than the supply, and they haven't done that in any of
their...
That's
the Eric Cartman rule about building a fantasy amusement park.
Now, Damien, I've never been down to the Impact Zone, but I was told that building holds a little over 1,000 people, right?
Yeah, I think we're capped at about 1,200.
Yeah, for a pay-per-view.
Yeah. Bowman, did you get a chance to watch it?
Non-paid, Dave.
Oh, I know, exactly. That's what I'm saying. And those are people that want to go to a show, and they get in for free, and they sit on their hands, they don't cheer, they don't do anything.
Mm-hmm. Bowman, did you see the pay-per-view?
I saw part of it. I actually forgot it was even on tonight, but
okay.
I got to see.
I think that speaks volumes, actually.
Yeah, that's what.
Way they were booking this show, and I saw it maybe 2 weeks beforehand. When the way they were booking it, I was like, this is going to turn into one of those pay-per-views where all the heels or the heel group sleeps the entire pay-per-view, and those are very dangerous pay-per-views to put on because you don't send the fans home happy in some retrospect.
Mm-hmm.
And now, they have to now hopefully carry this heat, which I'm expecting they're going to do with the Bound for Glory.
You know what I think would help the pay-per-views.
Thank you for the call, Bowman.
Is that if they would stop taping all their shows in 2 days?
Yeah,
and they would.
They don't tape the final one though, the week before.
No, they tape 3 weeks within 2 days, and it's like if you would because by then all the spoilers are on the internet, all the wrestling fans know what's going to happen.
Right.
They really don't tune in for 2 or 3 weeks, then they forget there's a pay-per-view.
Right.
So there's no true build-up at all whatsoever.
Like I said, maybe go live on that Thursday before the pay-per-view.
They should.
Because that way, everything's not settled, set in stone. Everything's not settled. There could be a change, and it's live on Impact.
Good point.
And while it has been on the internet for the last couple of months, they did not do a pay-per-view pre-show tonight. They did a canned package for the subscribers who were potentially going to order the pay-per-view, but they did not do a live pay-per-view pre-show, and that right there generates hundreds, if not thousands, of buys because it's the impulse buy. It's like the National Enquirer.
Damien, we've talked about this, and I know you brought this up to others too. Why wouldn't they do their pre-show, their 6:30 to 7 o'clock, Central Time, right before the pay-per-view? Why wouldn't you do that live? Why wouldn't you buy time on the preview channel and put that on there live and try to get people to get that impulse buy?
Well, and here's the challenge that they have, I'm sure. The costs are huge to do television, live television especially. Sure. And thinking about, where they are as a company and the resources that they have available, they don't have many revenue streams. They've got Spike TV and any revenues they generate from that. They've got their house shows and their merchandise. That's about it.
Bam.
They've got nothing
Damien,
else.
I just got a great idea. Here, are you ready for this? That second show, Sundays at 6:30. Put it right on Spike. Just like Sunday Night Heat used to be. Lead right into the pay-per-view.
Good point.
Thank you. Before the break, let's speak to Lenny in Maryland. Lenny, you're on the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN and ESPNMilwaukee.com.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Hey, what's up, Lenny? First-time caller?
Yes.
All right, welcome to the program. Have you said hi to Dave Hero yet?
No, I haven't.
What's up, Lenny? Dave? How are you, my man?
Good. This pay-per-view was wow.
Was wow or whack?
It was pretty bad.
Okay. Where do you start, hey?
Yeah. Wow. Well, just the only thing I could say I liked about it was pretty much Abyss owning Stevie.
Yeah.
And I did like Jenna's entrance.
Okay. But you didn't like her pin?
Actually, I went to the bathroom.
You must have loved her entrance a lot.
Lenny, let me ask you, should TNA have their pay-per-views outside of the Impact Zone?
Yes. They tape all the Impacts at the Impact Zone. So to give a pay-per-view a bigger feel, I think that they should move it around, try to increase their audience.
Yeah. Okay.
And again, the reason they tape all the Impact at the Impact Zone is because it's a money thing. You know, you've already got the ring there, you've got the set there.
It's consistent.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I understand.
Expensive studios as well.
Yeah. Well, especially since they did the upgrade for high definition.
Oh, yeah. I understand because, you know, it's just getting started, you know. But, yeah, for pay-per-views, they should definitely move around.
Perfect. Lenny, thanks a lot for the phone call. We'll appreciate it. When we come back, we continue speaking about tonight's Victory Road. We'll take your phone calls and much, much more. We're broadcasting live from the Time Warner Cable Studios in beautiful downtown Milwaukee. You're listening to Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN and ESPNMilwaukee.com. Welcome back to the Pro Wrestling Report, 540 ESPN and ESPNMilwaukee.com. We're also live on PWRshow.com. And joining us live in Orlando, Damian Nelson, who just attended TNA's pay-per-view, Victory Road.
Damian, where are you?
I am currently sitting in my vehicle outside of the Impact Zone on Universal Studios property.
I think he's in his vehicle cruising OBT right now.
Listen, and if full disclosure, I am damn sure leaving this parking lot and going straight to the OBT. The prostitution factor has to increase by at least 30%.
And, again, I told you to get me a price quote.
I'm not stopping and talking to any of those scallywags.
Just roll.
Just make sure you wear rubber, dude.
Yeah,
she
Damian,
gets around.
Damian, make sure, just wear a raincoat.
I thought we were going to talk about TNA Victory Road, and the next matchup I thought that was up was AJ Styles versus Kevin Nash. Guys, let me tell you this. TNA has the potential of their largest home-built star on their hands right now, that in AJ Styles. Yep. Here's what they've done. They've tweaked his entrance enough where they are mimicking what WWE does to get people to like the people they want to like more. AJ Styles presented now as a major superstar. And as Dixie Carter said in a recent interview, AJ has realized now how he can be that star and can carry the company. AJ Styles, biggest pop of the night, guys, biggest fan reaction of the night as the fans in the Impact Zone got ready to fly. However, they would not be happy at the end of the match because Kevin Nash did walk out as the new TNA Legends Championship in a well-paced match. Not too much to say for this match except Styles is proof as to how presentation matters.
Yeah. Let's go to the phones and speak to Nathan in California. Nathan, you held through the break. Thanks for holding. You're on the Pro Wrestling Report.
Hey, thanks. How are you guys doing?
Great.
We're doing fine. I'm glad you asked because, nobody ever asked me how I'm doing.
That's because nobody cares.
Keep it up. Remember, you're on the phone. You're not here in studio.
Okay.
Frank, who's sitting in the host chair?
Dave Hero is.
It's my show tonight.
You believe in miracles?
I still feel pretty safe.
Anyways, Nate, what you got, buddy?
I like the TNA Victory pay-per-view. It was very good.
Yeah.
It was a very good pay-per-view, but the one thing that just made me want to vomit, made me laugh, was Jenna's pin. This disgusting.
It made you laugh. What team do you play for? Because, again, and that's where I had to get up.
Listen, here's my question. I was there live. You all watched it on TV. Yeah. Where did she sit from what you all saw on TV
on her
when
chest.
she made the pin?
It ended up being on her chest, but, it was close enough.
Oh, yeah. Now, from the impression I've gotten over the course of this program so far, it seemed as if it came off on TV as if she did sit on,
You're excited. Feel these nipples.
Disgusting.
Oh.
Nathan, you thought it was disgusting?
You can tell it's a Tillman show tonight.
What did you think of the rest of the pay-per-view, Nathan?
Oh, it was very good. And with the Man Mafia having all the belts, it's sort of a good sign.
Well, they're missing one of the belts.
They're missing two of the belts, actually. There's two belts they don't have.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
What's that?
X and the Broads.
Yeah. They don't have the knockouts yet.
The Broads.
Yeah. I'm sorry. That's right. Chicks don't like to be called Broads.
Nathan, let me ask you, should TNA have their pay-per-views outside of the Impact Zone?
Well, I would say only for the big pay-per-views, such as Slammiversary, Bound for Glory, and others.
Okay. Well, we appreciate the call, Nathan.
Yeah.
Frank, we got a couple of replies or a couple of comments to us on our Twitter page.
Yeah.
Russell Cage 85 says, so I've got about 3 votes no on the pay-per-view and 1 vote yes. Going on, the ONW says, that was the worst match I've seen in a real long time, but the pin was awesome. LOL, referring to Jenna versus Charmel.
What is this LOL you keep talking of?
A laugh out loud.
Oh.
Sean Reed from over in the UK asks us to please don't spoil. We don't get in the UK till Wednesday. Apologies for that. However, we got.
We're doing our job.
Yeah, once the show is done, and been broadcasted to American television, then we put it out there. We don't spoil SmackDown tapings and Impact tapings. Right.
And finally, Frank Ethan on our Twitter page says, why is TNA giving the Main Event Mafia so much control over the management, as if the management can't do a damn thing about things? You're thinking a little too logically there, Ethan.
Well, you mentioned how the crowd, basically had their pop of the evening with AJ Styles. Are they afraid to put him in a main event, or what's the situation?
To me, it seems like it's been a slow build. AJ's been around since day one in TNA. He's been a great star. As we talked to him here on this very program, the Pro Wrestling Report, he's had those offers from WWE. He has decided to stay in TNA. I think AJ realizes where his end game is, and that is on the top of the card on Total Nonstop Action Wrestling. But I don't think that time is now.
Did you give him the gift?
I was not able to give him the gift. I didn't run into AJ backstage, but I did speak to Hernandez of LAX, who was giggling about the content or the comment he made to close out our interview that we did a couple of weeks ago. And I actually asked him, because I said,
he was giggling?
We did an interview with you 2 days before your surgery. How could you not have mentioned that? And he had a very good reason for doing it. Basically, he said he didn't want to come off like a bitch.
Maybe that's why he was giggling,
Yeah, it could be.
414.
Hernandez is a great guy, by the way, guys. I do enjoy talking to him. We'll try to get him back on the show again soon.
414-276-3776, 800-990-3776. After the match with Kevin Nash and AJ Styles, they went backstage, and Lauren kind of stumbled into the Knockouts locker room, and referee Slick Johnson walks out of the shower. He's surprised to see Lauren. He said she's just having his spider bite looked at. Johnson runs out and sees Madison Rayne walking out, and Lauren can't believe what she just saw.
Who is she, Jack Buck?
Well, she was wearing beads.
I know, but who is she, Jack Buck, if she can't just believe what she saw? I cannot believe what I just saw.
Can't believe.
You know what, though? Seriously, guys, anything involving the beautiful people, I will tune in. They're just that good at delivering.
Not Madison Rayne. No. Madison Rayne is not as good. I love Velvet Sky. Who
can tell me that they were not entertained by Angelina Love and that Beekeeper's outfit this past Thursday on Impact?
I was entertained by it. And
the fact that it had bling.
Yeah.
That was funny stuff. That's good entertainment.
Damon, we got just a little over a minute left before the top of the hour.
They had a video package with highlighting the events of, and we'll talk about the TNA Tag Team Championship. As far as the production value with how they presented Beer Money, Inc., did that kind of win over the fans at all there?
The fans are totally behind Beer Money. There were more signs in the crowd with one word beer, the other word money out there, and the fans eat it up. Again, being a person who's been to, and all of us have, many WWE events over the years, you see this marketing that they do. TNA is catching on in a lot of these regards. They were encouraging fans. I'll give you more information on that off air, but they were encouraging fans to cheer for certain athletes, Beer Money being one of them. But much like the woos before WWE events, Beer Money was the chant before TNA went live on Victory Road tonight. This match, though, I thought was, again, better than I thought it would be.
Got about 20 seconds, Damien.
Yeah, Damon, we will talk about this match when we come back after the top of the hour. We are broadcasting live from the Time Warner Cable Studios in beautiful downtown Milwaukee. You're listening to the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN and ESPNMilwaukee.com.
For over 10 years, the world's #1 source for for professional wrestling news and information. And once again, here's your hosts, Damian Nelson, Frank Cosentino, and the man they call Meathead. This is the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN.
Welcome back to the Pro Wrestling Report, second hour, 540 ESPN, ESPNMilwaukee.com, along with the man they call Meathead, Dave Hero. Jamie Nelson, live in Orlando, Florida.
Second favorite city in the world.
If Damien just happened to watch TNA's Victory Road, we've talked about that the first hour. We've gotten your response. We'd like to continue that. You can call the program at 414-276-3776, 800-990-3776 if you're outside Milwaukee and all over the world. Also on PWRshow.com on the Chatmosphere.
Chatosphere. Actually, in the Chatosphere, I had a listener. I forgot who it was, and please go ahead and put your name up there again, who said it. They mentioned that the official term is Chatosphere because there are also blogospheres and other O-spheres as well. So even though Damien will like to call it the Chatmosphere, it's the Chatosphere.
Thank you for helping with our marketing and branding initiatives.
Yep.
Devil Lock 18 on our YouTube page, Frank.
Yeah.
I had this to say about TNA's Victory Road pay-per-view tonight. The debut for Taz was really weak. Not a good pay-per-view at all. The Keith Carnes said this pay-per-view was so horrible. And the next matchup is regarding Taz, Samoa Joe, and Sting one-on-one. We knew Samoa Joe would announce who his advisor was tonight. However, I couldn't imagine that the delivery would be as poor as it was. Taz
it was terrible.
Obviously is the advisor. We knew that going into it. I'd seen Taz backstage earlier in the day. Note how we didn't report that because we don't spoil everything. But, you know, I was talking to some fans before the show, and they said, can you grade the show going into it? And going into it, I gave it a C average because that's where you start with most everything. Coming out of it, they wanted another grade. And I said, well, this Taz thing and this Bobby Lashley thing could tip it over the edge depending on how they do it. And the fans agreed. They said, right, it depends exactly on how they do it. I'm not sure how it was delivered on broadcast, but live, Taz just sort of came down and stood there, and I'm not sure why he's there. What was he advising Joe on? Who is Taz? I'm not sure they explained that enough to the new viewers.
Dave, I know, Dave, you watched it. I know Frank had just missed it. He was coming back from the Italian Fest, which he didn't bring any food from.
Nope.
But when Taz came down, Sting had Joe in a submission. He had, I believe it was Scorpion.
Yeah.
When you turn back to the ring again, Sting and Joe are just standing there. Oh, it's Taz.
Yeah, Sting.
It was brutal.
Yeah, Sting just had
terrible.
this, what are you kind of doing here?
Well, the thing is, do the wrestling fans care about Taz anymore?
No.
They don't. As
They could.
As far as
they
the wrestling
could. Yeah,
fans
they
know,
could.
Taz is a guy that sat behind the commentator's table for the past 6 years.
You're talking about Taz the wrestler. That's who they don't care about anymore.
In general,
yeah.
they don't care about Taz. He should have came out in his towel over his head, not in a suit and tie, and just have he should have looked like he belonged.
He should have come out and done something, wreaked some havoc, made an impact. Done
something physical
something
doesn't look like it could have happened for him.
He just got into the ring and he stared, Samoa Joe down, and both Taz and Joe bumped fists, and that was about it.
And in all fairness, let's give it a chance. I'm going to be at the Impact taping tomorrow night. Let's see what happens this week on Impact. I expect that we'll get a much deeper explanation of Taz's involvement with Samoa Joe and TNA specifically. But tonight on this show, TNA Victory Road on pay-per-view, this debut was a bit of a thud.
That match was terrible, by the way. Sting was lost.
Here's what I was surprised by. Sting tapping out to Samoa Joe.
Yeah.
Which would not be the last tap out of the night.
Well, it looked like he was trying to do the muscle buster.
Yeah.
But, of course, Sting wasn't, very helpful with that.
That was a bit of a botch. You can see the communication right after that. At least I could live in the Impact Zone. You could see the communication after that.
So maybe
them trying to figure out where to go from there.
So maybe he was supposed to beat him with the muscle buster, but when he couldn't get him up, just like how Sting had to kick Samoa Joe 3 times before he grabbed the leg, and just like how Sting goes to the top rope before he was supposed to.
Tell us, Booker man.
It was ridiculous. So many
is it
spots.
Sting or is it the performers he's working with? So last month,
no,
remember Matt Morgan when they had a bit of a botched finish as well.
I've talked to some guys that work in TNA, and they've all said they dread working with Sting because he forgets everything.
Wow.
414-276-3776, 800-990-3776. After that match with Samoa Joe and Sting, they show a video package which aired Bobby Lashley signing with TNA. The reaction by the fans there, Damien, what was it like?
They didn't notice it. Here was my question to Ross Foreman, who you all know.
Sure.
After the show, he asked me what I thought of the show. I said the show was good, but where was Bobby Lashley? And we heard and JB announced that Bobby Lashley had signed with TNA. There was all this hype about Bobby Lashley signing with TNA. I saw Bobby Lashley here today. I saw him here. He arrived around the same time I did here to the TNA Impact Zone. When I came out to my vehicle at the end of the show, his car was gone. I don't get it. I don't understand. I mean, I don't know if they're going tentative with this, if they're taking a slow roll with it instead, but I don't think they can afford a slow roll. I think that they should have used Taz, used Bobby Lashley to do something very significant on this show. And maybe, again, benefit of the doubt, we'll see what happens on Impact this week. We'll see what happens at the taping tomorrow night. But not to use the guy? After making all the hype and all the announcement and doing a video on their website about how he had signed with the company.
But here's the thing, Damien. They know that their ratings for their pay-per-views is going to be dismal. They'd rather try to pop a rating for their TV because they know the spoilers are going to leak out, and then say, hey, Bobby Lashley makes his debut on Impact. People will then want to tune in to watch it there.
Yeah, good point. Good point. That's why I said let's give them the benefit of the doubt. Let's see what happens this week on Impact. They've got some explaining to do, which is always good coming out of a pay-per-view. That's always good because we typically see on more months than not the pay-per-view ratings bump for the subsequent show, whether it be Raw or Impact after a pay-per-view, whether it be curiosity of fans tuning in to see what happened or to see where they're going to go from here. Maybe that's the angle that TNA was going with because I would imagine more fans read the results and look at the results online than actually ordered the show.
Hey, Damien, what was the crowd reaction like when the Stinger tapped out? Because on TV it seemed like nobody cared.
Here's the thing. I think the fans were very confused by the guy in the black suit at ringside, who was Taz, confused by what was going to happen next, wondering what Taz was going to do, not really paying attention to the in-ring action, and then all of a sudden Sting taps out. It was the bell ring. It was the bell ringing that really made us notice that the match was over because you're sort of wondering what's getting ready to happen, and ultimately it was nothing.
Has Sting ever tapped out before?
Not that I know in TNA.
Remember. I don't think so. I don't think he's ever tapped out before.
In TNA?
This may have been the first.
He's always been the babyface.
Well, wait a minute.
Not
Ric
always.
Flair. I'm sure he's at some point against Ric Flair against the figure 4, maybe.
I doubt it. Not as a babyface would he ever tap out.
Maybe someone
Damien,
out
I think we should get somebody on that. Don't you think?
Is Cal the intern around today?
Not tonight, but I will tell him tomorrow. He has to look it up.
So we see the video package which shows the Bobby Lashley signing, and after that,
which also was announced on ESPN Radio.
That's right. After that, they go backstage.
One of our sister stations.
Backstage.
Oh, it was.
Yeah,
it was, and that bell got Tillman. I should have saw him jump.
Backstage, Jeremy Borash is with Mick Foley. Foley talks about tonight appears to be the main event Mafia's night, dominating thus far. He said tonight's match doesn't, against Kurt Angle, he might not match up well with, but said he dropped an elbow at Angle at Slammiversary, and that left Angle motionless for about a minute. Then,
about a minute.
Foley then brings up how Angle's body is beaten up, and he will exploit that tonight. Built up. You're building it up. It could happen. Could Foley win this thing tonight and at least get one win for the good
Foley's
guys,
gotten his one title win in TNA.
Yeah, I think Mick is one and done. And besides, if Kurt Angle would have lost, would he have fired himself?
Yeah, that would have happened.
It doesn't fit.
Yeah.
They show another video package.
It doesn't make sense.
Do you think Sharmel's going to get fired now since she lost?
No, it was the title matches that they talked about.
All right.
I am a
Sharmell
big fan and a big mark for ref bumps, of which there were 2 in this matchup.
It was.
Here's the interesting thing in this match. Foley taps out. This match over-delivered again to my expectations, meaning it gave me a lot more than I thought I was going to get. Listen to the show last week. You'll hear us talk about where they were going to go with this match and where they could go with this match. Meathead, you and I talked about it on PWR Primetime, especially with Foley's comments about it. Some of it could have been work, who knows. but I thought they delivered. It wasn't a great match by anybody's measurements, but they delivered much more than I expected that they would deliver. Here's the point that needs to be made, though. Mick Foley and Kurt Angle, more so Kurt Angle, in a tremendous world of hurt after that matchup. I saw them backstage, and as you know, there were the reports of Kurt Angle's injury from his movie set from this past weekend. Well, in addition to during the match, whether it was sell or whether it was legit, Kurt Angle was favoring his pelvis at one point during the match. Backstage, there was a general amount of concern for the condition of Kurt Angle. Now, again, that may not be any different from any other match. We've heard these rumors for a number of years that generally at the end of matches, Kurt Angle's in a world of hurt because he sucks it up and goes out there and delivers. He delivered again tonight, didn't miss a step. They delivered much more than I thought we would get in this particular matchup on the main event for Victory Road tonight.
So, wait, so the last two matches both had the same ending?
Yep.
Tell us, Booker Man.
The baby faces both tapped?
Yep.
Yeah, that's going to have some people home happy.
No. See, now, did the match just end there? All the main event Mafia was in the ring, and that was it?
They walked up the ramp, did a little posing with all their titles, and as far as I know, that was the end of the show.
Two matches wind up in the stands, and two matches, the two main events, have the same finish.
And two women's matches. Yeah.
There's a theme.
That is just not.
You know what?
We're booking.
You know what? Listen,
Booker Man.
I watched the pay-per-view, and I will say this: TNA has a lot of talented guys.
Tons.
But for some reason, they just don't mesh well with each other. You know, for me, I thought that the two best matches tonight were the tag matches. I'm not a fan of the Dudley Boys at all, but I thought that match with the Invasion was actually pretty solid.
Yeah.
I just don't like the finish of that one because the Dudleys now beat up two tag teams, the Invasion, and then they beat up Bashir and Kiyoshi. So now their next challengers, they've already beaten them.
Doesn't fit. But it wouldn't have fit if Mick Foley wins this thing at the end.
Well, no.
You would have left the fans home happy. It would have been a surprise.
No, you give Angle the pinfall, and if you need Foley to go over him somehow, I don't know, after the pinfall.
You know what, though? For me, if Kurt Angle does not say whoever loses will get fired, if he wouldn't have said that, I wouldn't have cared if the Mafia would have, won all the belts. But now he's telling us that they're going to win all the belts, and that ruined it.
It did.
Because do you honestly think Kurt Angle's going to get in Kevin Nash's face and say, "You're fired," and Kevin's going to take it lightly, or Scott Steiner, or Booker T? And the funny thing is, with Scott Steiner and Booker T, didn't those two guys hate each other like 10 years ago?
Yeah, but now because of the wars, they're brothers.
Yeah.
414-276-3776 if you're outside Milwaukee, all over the world at 800-990-3776.
Frank, the TNA Victory Road, let me just sum it up before I have to drop off here because the OBT is calling my name. You know what? Overall, was it satisfactory to me? Yes. I was live there, though. Completely different experience from watching it on pay-per-view, watching it on television live. Once I have the opportunity to do that when I return to the home base in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, I'll be able to give a full assessment of the show. But you know what? They told a story tonight. I missed that. That story being the Main Event Mafia taking control of TNA Wrestling. And I think it makes for some intriguing television over the course of the next few weeks. It's just a matter of what are they going to do with it. I don't think that they did anything more substantial on this show than put over the Main Event Mafia, and I'm not knocking it.
And now what's more important, they show at the end, the next pay-per-view. Will it get you to think about, hey, I'm going to have to get this now because of what happened tonight.
If you bought it tonight, you're not going to buy the next one.
No,
right.
You're not.
But here's why I would. If I hear it's all hardcore, and I think there's a minuscule chance, if there's any chance in hell, that I'm going to see Scott Steiner on a pogo stick again, I'm buying it.
Right, but Damien, 2 months ago they had all the matches, in cages.
Yeah.
That's an all hardcore match show.
But apparently that's what the fans want because WWE is copying them
right.
now too.
What other hook do they have?
They're desperate. TNA and WWE right now, the wrestling business is desperate.
You know what, though? The line of the night for me was Don West telling the viewers at home that the Legends title is worth $200,000.
How good?
How did they get that number?
West's overall performance tonight?
Dave, how much did you listen to the show?
I watched everything up until the main event.
And then drove in.
Yeah, it wasn't that bad. It was actually tolerable.
Don is fine. Again, I like when he talks about tweeting Velvet Sky. And then Mike Tenay will go, so you're on Twitter? I didn't say anything about Twitter. I just tweet her.
When we come back, we will talk about some WWE news. We'll also
Night of Champions this Sunday on pay-per-view. Now the battle will go for the month of July. Which pay-per-view was better? The fans are going to decide, and I believe tonight also the fans are going to decide who had the better fantasy pay-per-view.
They've already decided, Damian. So why don't you just hang through the timeout here and take your comeuppance.
Damian and my beloved CNN are not ready to make a projection at this time. But, gentlemen, I will be back in the studio next week. We'll have a brand new episode of PWR Primetime this week. Thank you so much for taking the show from the studio in Milwaukee this week. And I'm on my way down to Orange Blossom Trail to see what kind of trouble I can get into.
Get a price quote, Geico style.
Take care, Damian. Thanks a lot.
Be safe, Damian.
When we come back,
and then
we will
wrap it up.
We will talk about that and some news on Lita and why she turned down WrestleMania. Broadcasting live from the Time Warner Cable Studios in beautiful downtown Milwaukee. You're listening to the Pro Wrestling Report. 540 ESPN and ESPNMilwaukee.com.
540 ESPN.
Back to the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN and ESPNMilwaukee.com. Still plenty of time for you to join the program. 414-276-3776, 800-990-3776 are the phone numbers.
You know that flatline kind of sounds like the reaction Taz got tonight.
Hey now!
He's had a few extra trips there to the buffet.
Well, the thing is that, and Damien and I speculated on last week's show, is that we don't know what Taz's physical condition is. What is he going to look like when he shows up to the pay-per-view? And he looks exactly like he looked right before he left WWE.
The same suit even.
Yeah, exact same outfit. So, I don't know. I literally am scratching my head wondering what the hell happened.
Get in my belly!
It was interesting to hear that the Iron Sheik attended the pre-ESPY party. Walking around with a belt, trying
Beautiful.
How does he doesn't get invited to that?
You know what? It's the Iron Sheik.
Did he just kind of show up and they said, well,
all you got to do is talk to his publicist, dude, and he puts him in on stuff.
Iron
like
Sheik calls up ESPN and says, "Oh, baby, Sheiky want to be there," and Sheiky's there. Can you imagine how much fun Sheiky must have had at the ESPY party?
Well, you know what? It's
having
actually
the belt around his,
everybody
shoulder.
else being there going, dude, that's the Iron Sheik.
Absolutely.
And he's going to take those things and start flipping them around. Let's go to the phones. Speak to Steve in Heartland. Steve, you're on the Pro Wrestling Report.
Hey, guys.
Hey, Steve, what's happening?
Oh, that was brutal.
Oh, boy.
Absolutely painful to watch.
What was the most painful part of it that made you just cringe?
Well, obviously the women's match was terrible. But,
which one?
The
Carmel
match.
And Gianna. You didn't like the pin? It wasn't sexy?
Well, the pin was fine.
Okay.
No problem with the pin.
That's the problem with the match. We're talking about the pin.
I don't know. Is Vince Russo still booking this? Because I'm just banging my head trying to figure out. The one thing I was hoping that would happen is when Angle said, "All right, if you lose, you're out." I was hoping they were going to try to pull a swerve at the end. Angle loses. Foley all of a sudden becomes he's got the title and he's the Godfather, or Taz comes out and he takes control. Something like that would have been a little fresh and different, I thought.
Can you imagine Mick Foley in a tuxedo?
No.
Was he? Well, he would Foley-ize it.
Yeah.
Did I say Foley-ize?
Yeah,
I did say Foley-ize.
But I like the Styles match. I enjoyed that.
How can you hate anything AJ Styles does?
Exactly. I mean,
the guy's phenomenal.
Nash looked good. It's pretty hard to do, but it's definitely not worth the money. I was very disappointed, and a lot of botched spots tonight. I noticed a lot too. That one with the British Invasion, the clothesline over. Did you hear the fans get on?
Wow, that was terrible.
He got hit. Most of the time, 9 times out of 10, guy hits the rope, gets clothesline. he doesn't go over. He just falls to the ground and rolls out, off the canvas.
Steve,
he just decided to throw himself over.
The question of the night that we've been asking each caller: should TNA have their pay-per-views outside of the Impact Zone? In your opinion?
Like a couple callers ago said, just the big ones. I don't know if we're saying that this is that the pay-per-view quality. You can't say the pay-per-view quality is bad because of where it is. It's just bad because of the bad booking, I think. I mean, would we be asking this question right now if it was like a great pay-per-view?
Mm-hmm. I don't know.
Like I personally thought Slammiversary was the best one of the year so far. I know you guys don't necessarily agree, but will we be asking that question? Probably not. I think the big ones are probably fine because I can't really afford to be moving around all too much. So I don't know. That's what I got.
All right. Steve, thanks for the phone call. Appreciate it.
The next pay-per-view is back in Orlando next month.
Yeah, Hard Justice. Now, technically, if they really want to steal the old NWO gimmick that they're basically doing right now, shouldn't this Hard Justice be the main event Mafia presents Hard Justice? I mean, if they're taking over.
Do you think? But who's going to care?
No one.
Because no one buys the pay-per-view anyhow.
Right.
They just watch it online.
Wait, no, I don't do that.
414-276-3776. You're outside Milwaukee, all over the world at 800-990-3776. Guys, when Lita was a wrestling fan, not a fan?
When Lita was? Well, which Lita are we talking about? Lita before the Edge Matt Hardy thing?
Overall.
Or Lita afterwards?
Overall.
Loved watching her work when she was with S.A. Rios and then coming out with Team Extreme.
Papi Chulo, baby.
Papi Chulo. I loved Papi Chulo. Especially when Kurt Angle accused him of being the one that ran over Stone Cold. When Lita was the one going down on Edge in the bed in the ring. You remember that? No, you remember that, right?
Not how you phrased it, though.
I saw what I saw.
Yes, they're live.
I can't believe what I just saw. Sex act.
Yes.
Rated R sex act. I loved her then, too, because she was wearing nice, thin tops. But then I saw her goth look and
didn't do it for you.
But I liked her. I liked Lita, and I cared about her when she was on TV.
She was interviewed by ChangeTheRecord.net recently and was asked...
Who?
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
ChangeTheRecord.net. And she was asked, were you asked to be part of WrestleMania 25 when they had the 25 Diva Battle Royal? And basically, and I'm basically paraphrasing it, she didn't want to have any part of that because of how they were going to be treated. And as she quotes here, they were basically treated like hoes. As I quote her, that Kid Rock, and he comes out and she was laughing about it, but just she didn't want to be part of how this was going to.
She didn't want to get anywhere close to that abortion of a match because she didn't want it to ruin any legacy that she may.
Even
have
Tori
had.
Wilson now says she was never a part of that thing.
Yeah.
But you know what though? It was a quick payday for a lot of those girls.
It was. Sunny.
And it was a good payday.
Sunny was looking forward to it.
Oh, of course. She thought that was going to bring her back up.
But it was probably fun to do too because she's not on TV as often as maybe the ones that. But yeah, I don't know.
So that was what and the reason why I'm bringing her up again is there's someone that, as far as from a wrestling ability, she had, in my opinion, it wasn't bad.
No, she was a good worker.
Was a spot worker.
She was known for all the big spots and the moonsault and whatnot. But if you think
Lita
about
Carana.
WrestleMania 25, you don't have Trish or Lita. It's like wow.
Yep. 414-276-3776, 800-990-3776. So we have TNA's pay-per-view, and now WWE has their shot here in July. It's the Night of the Champions, which is next Sunday. And after that pay-per-view ends, we will be live once again on these very airwaves to give instant analysis and your phone calls, and like we've done this evening. First off, let's go through these matches and kind of give some predictions and so on. But we'll start with the Divas champion, Maurice, taking on Mickie James. Has there been a build-up? Has there been enough build-up for this match?
Slow build-up.
It's been a slow build-up.
You have to be paying attention to see it.
Yeah, because they've had a lot of six-woman...
Well, before that, Mickie James had consecutive pinfalls against Maurice in different matches. So there's been a build-up. There's been a legitimizing of Mickey over Maurice. I mean, so there's been some steam to it, but it's been a little too slow for me. I guess, us being, new age wrestling fans, we think that we should get it faster, quicker, when we want it. But, I'm interested in a match, and I'll watch it. If you're going to go
slow, at least make it meaningful.
Yeah, and there's not much to it.
No.
And Maurice has had this title for
about a minute.
2 months now? 3 months?
I have no idea.
Mickey James has been a champion before.
Okay. I was going to ask this question real quickly as we kind of run through Night of Champions. The gimmick is Night of Champions. So they've been saying, as commentators, every belt will be defended. Who wants to put a shiny 2 bits that every belt will not be defended at this pay-per-view? They will have all title matches, but not every belt will be defended.
Well,
I don't think they're
I think they can do it. They got 2 ladies'
Didn't
titles.
we just talk about having 2 women's matches on the same card?
But that's different.
That's much different.
It's much different. Because you're not going to have a reality star against somebody's wife in one of the matches.
Yeah. Around the horn really quick. Who takes it?
Mickey.
Maurice.
I say Maurice keeps this thing at least another pay-per-view.
I'd say because I want Mickey.
Unified Tag Team Championship, Chris Jericho, and a mystery partner. Going to take on Ted DiBiase and Cody Rhodes.
Jesse?
That was a joke. Come on, it's a joke. Yo, it's your boy, J-Eazy, a.k.a. spitting on my microphone, a.k.a. Jericho and mystery partner win.
Yeah, without a doubt. Well, I don't know. I'm not. You know what? Legacy, they need those tag belts.
Yes.
Otherwise,
they have
be
something
forever,
to do.
Yeah. Exactly. Otherwise, they're forever known as Randy Orton's jabronis.
I think Legacy wins this thing.
But who's the mystery tag partner?
That's a good question.
A.K.A.
You know what? Maybe Jericho does it by himself.
A.K.A.
Nah, doubt it.
He'll pick Ricky Steamboat.
There you go, right?
Mickey Rourke, yeah.
Let's go to the phones and speak to Gianni in Milwaukee. Gianni on the Pro Wrestling Report.
Hey, guys, what's going on?
What's going on?
I know, not to change topics, but I know I couldn't find the number right away, but I was wanting to call and talk about Lita and the Divas now.
Yeah.
I noticed that lately, I watch SmackDown. The only reason I watch SmackDown right now is for the Diva matches. Really, any WWE show I only watch for the Diva matches. But I've noticed...
Are you alone when you're watching those?
Well, no, it's because there's nobody really good to watch anymore. Except for you got Orton, Edge, but he's out. Taker is out. HBK is out. So there's nobody really worth watching. But back to what I called for. But I don't know if I'm the only one that noticed, but I was at SmackDown in Milwaukee, and I noticed that every week it seems like Michelle McCool seems to be getting thinner, smaller. And I noticed that a lot of the Divas are just seeming to get smaller and smaller, more bone showing. And I know we were just talking about Lita, and I think that's the reason why they're not having a lot of success with the Divas.
Yeah.
It's just because they're too thin. They're not able to do anything. Because if you look at the success of the top Diva now compared to Lita or Trish.
Who would you say is their top Diva right now?
In the company or for
company.
the shows? The company? It's a tough choice. I'd have to say it's either Maurice or Michelle McCool.
Well, see, that's the thing. No. I mean, there really isn't one.
Exactly.
I mean, Maria gets prominent TV time.
There's
Melina gets TV time.
Beth
Phoenix gets
Mickey
TV
James.
time.
Now, those
Mickey
three
James.
girls aren't
Yeah,
skinny.
I wouldn't say Beth Phoenix is skinny.
No, she's not.
But
she's more
Amazonian. That's why she's the Glamazon.
But I kind of like that because it's something different than what you're seeing with them all.
Interesting thought, Gianni. Thank you for the phone call.
Hey, Jack, to say one quick thing?
Oh, sure.
I know we were talking about Mick Foley in a suit and how he would Foley-ize it. I would see Foley wearing like a red and black flannel suit with like a Cactus Jack, Wanted Dead or Alive somewhere on it.
That could work. That absolutely could work.
Maybe like a barbed wire collar or something.
Sure, possibly.
That could work. Thank you, Gianni. Have a good night.
When they talk about, when he mentioned how the Divas are all skinny, they're all bikini models.
Right, they just had a
they're all
bikinis
Diva
match
girls.
last week. Monday night it was called the bikinis match.
I mean, if you look at it right now, the two champions, the Divas and the Diva and the Ladies champ, they're both from the Diva Search.
Right.
The only true girls that are left in the division that were brought up through the Indies
that were wrestlers
is Melina, Mickey James,
Beth is a wrestler,
Beth Phoenix.
Yeah.
The rest have all been hired out of.
Well, now you've got
the
Natty.
Diva Search.
Natty's
okay,
a wrestler.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's 4.
Gail Kim.
5.
Thank you.
Okay.
Would you like to keep
No,
going?
yeah, okay, but let's say there's 20
not
girls
to kill
on your
your
contract?
not to kill your point though, but your point is that most of them are just models.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I brought you back.
Whatever.
Night of the
If
Champions.
you're hot, say you're hot, man.
Night of the Champions is also going to bring us the ECW champion Tommy Dreamer taking on Christian. You care?
You care.
I don't really care.
I don't really
and it's
care about
unfortunate
this
because I want to care about Christian. I want to care about Christian.
I know I'm going to get a lot of flack for this, but I'm sorry. Tommy Dreamer, thanks a lot for everything you've done in wrestling.
Who are you getting flack
it's
from?
There's a lot of Tommy Dreamer fans out there.
In Yonkers, New York, but not in Milwaukee.
I just think it's time for him to just hang it up.
And it's time for Christian to go to the SmackDown brand.
I
freshen
agree.
it up.
Yeah, he's
maybe
gotta get
that's
out of there.
Jericho's new partner.
Well,
they've been tag team champions before.
Yeah, but he's too much of a babyface right now.
Yeah.
Jack Swagger, I could see that.
Wire! I had to pull the mic away.
When we come back, we'll continue the Night of Champions card. We'll also talk about the fantasy pay-per-view.
Beat the Meat.
And Beat the Meat. It's all coming up.
How can you say his fantasy pay-per-view then Beat the Meat all in the same sentence?
It's all right there for you.
That's how Frank does it. That's how he rolls.
We're broadcasting live from the Time Warner Cable Studios, downtown Milwaukee. You are listening to the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN and ESPNMilwaukee.com. Welcome back to the Pro Wrestling Report, 540 ESPN and ESPNMilwaukee.com. Still time for you, 414-276-3776. You're outside Milwaukee, 800-990.
Hey, Frank, with us being in beautiful downtown Milwaukee, unfortunately, I just saw a pretty Ricky walking by trying to get into the studio as well. And unfortunately, he is also not allowed in here either.
Okay.
All right.
Hey, he said his government name is Delicious, but it's really just Pretty Ricky.
Pretty Ricky. Sounds like someone Damien would see down on the OBT.
Exactly. I think that's where he came from.
We are talking about the Night of Champions. Got a couple more matches here to discuss. That's coming up next Sunday. It is the Intercontinental Champion Rey Mysterio taking on Dolph Ziggler, who I believe
is part of the Spirit Squad.
Yes,
Mikey or Mickey. Which
I
one was
think
it?
this guy
Mickey?
has.
It was one of them. It was Mikey or
I think it's Nikki.
It wasn't Mikey. It was
Nicky.
Nikki. Yeah, I
That's
think
what
it was
I said,
Nikki.
Nikki.
You're right, Dave. I apologize.
Hey, you called me out on the Divas.
I know.
Just gotta,
I think this guy in about a year's time could be main event material. Give him a good
I think
year.
he beats Rey Mysterio. He's the new IC champion.
I could see it happening. Me, what do you think?
I predict it now too. Yeah, I'll ride the coattails on that.
Dolph
one.
Ziggler, your new IC champion.
Keep in mind, I believe Rey Mysterio gave notice at the last pay-per-view.
Mm-hmm. The World Heavyweight Champion CM Punk will take on Jeff Hardy. Is it a full heel turn finally for CM Punk?
No, they tease still.
No.
I think
You know what? No matter who Jeff Hardy works, the opponent will always get the heel reaction.
Yeah. So he's still going to be a teased heel, but he's still going to be heel, and he's still going to walk away with the belt. He's going to fake a pinky toe injury now.
Where's this pay-per-view being held?
Outside.
Yeah, it's not at the Impact Zone.
They can give it a shot.
Question on the night. Should the pay-per-view
SRO, ladies and gentlemen, SRO.
At the O-Arena.
I have no idea where it is.
I'm looking at it. I don't see where it is. I have to look that up.
Frank.
Well, maybe somebody in the Chatmosphere knows there.
Well, the Chatmosphere is kind of lagged behind because of the stream. But keep talking. And, again, if you're in the Chat-osphere, make sure you tell us what city the pay-per-view's in.
CM Punk, Jeff Hardy, who's your winner?
CM Punk walks away with the belt.
Punk has to win.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I don't want to see it, but he has to win.
And finally, the WWE Champion Randy Orton, Triple H, John Cena.
Again? Really?
For the
Didn't I
400th
see
time.
this in Orlando?
At the Impact Zone.
No, I think I saw it at the stadium.
Here's the situation is, it makes sense for Randy Orton to continue to have this belt. But will it upset you if it's Triple H or John Cena?
Yes.
It'll upset you if it's Cena?
Yeah, either one of those two guys. Because neither one of them need it right now. Wrestling is more entertaining when the baby face is chasing the heel.
We've always said that, and that's it. We've tried to impart that knowledge to others, and apparently bookers don't think that as much anymore.
Wow.
Does something have to happen at the end of this match to kind of turn that storyline, or do we have to wait till Raw?
Is if Triple H or John Cena do a complete heel turn and screw the other.
That would be nice.
Can John Cena pull that off being heel?
Boys, Philadelphia, by the way.
Oh, it's in Philly, so they're going to boo John Cena out of the building.
Okay.
And they'll cheer Orton, and they'll love Triple H.
Yeah. So the way that John Cena could turn heel at this thing is to come out with a Dallas Cowboy jersey.
He'll never do it because he's too busy selling his own T-shirts.
That's right.
Yeah, but I mean, something along the lines of that.
You have to have somebody that's just as devious as Randy Orton with him. You know, maybe
Jericho.
John Cena and Randy Orton both take out Triple H, and then Cena and Orton, align. But that'll never happen either because it's all about selling T-shirts, and that's what John Cena does best.
414-276-3776, 800-990-3776. We do it every week. It's Meathead's favorite segment, which is called Meat. Take it away.
Last week, our question for Beat the Meat was, what was the first ever WWF title to change hands at a WrestleMania? Dave Hero, do you know the answer?
The first ever?
Title to change hands at a WrestleMania.
Well, it depends on where it was on the show. It was either the tag belt or the ladies' belt.
It was the tag belt. Ding, ding, ding.
Go.
The tag belt. So the winner, and, normally this is where Damien would chew me out for not having the actual winner lined up. Well, it's a good thing we're not giving the prize away. Damien, when you
fail.
Congratulations to Dave Hero and everyone else on the YouTube pages and all the comments at pwrshow.com that sent in that answer. There was way too many, honestly, to pick through all the people that had won and got that right. So, our new question for Beat the Meat on the May 7th, 1986 episode of Tuesday Night Titans, Mr. Fuji and Don Morocco premiered a new soap opera segment called, don't answer it, it's for the viewers and the listeners. Once again, the question on the May 7th, 1986 episode of Tuesday Night Titans, TNT. Mr. Fuji and Don Morocco premiered a new soap opera segment called...
And that was the magnificent Don Morocco back then, not the Rock Don Morocco.
I apologize. The magnificent Morocco. Mm-hmm. Comments at pwrshow.com with your answer for Beat the Meat.
A record June for PWR as far as visitors. 112,000 visitors.
Wow.
That's
page
tremendous.
views over 1 million, 1.1
Next time I'm going to do
million.
that in a microphone again. Tell me and see if you're paying attention.
That is amazing. That is a round of applause to you, the listener.
A round of
fans,
applause for everyone.
making that possible. That is awesome.
It's probably not even on there. It's
a
okay.
million page views.
We're starting to blow up.
You're blowing up.
Blowed up.
Blowed up.
Speaking of blowing up,
yes, sir.
the fantasy draft.
I feel so bad for Damien. I really do.
Do we look at these results here?
I've got them right in front of me.
It's a lot closer than it was last month.
Well, the last month wasn't even fair. And like I've been saying over and over and over, I mean, what do I have to do to dumb it down so Damien can get closer? Bah. What do I have to do?
You could have sheep if you want.
The results as of this second, Meathead, 102 votes, 54.3% of the votes. Damien, 86, 45.7% of the votes.
But I still have time to.
No, it's done.
It's done.
Right now.
It ended.
At this second, it just ended.
Okay.
102 to 86. So
well,
what
the percentage is the most important.
What Dave Hero and Frank Cosentino and the rest of the listening audience get to hear is me take two picks. One is a free agent. One I get to pull from Damien's roster. Now, the one I'm pulling from Damien's roster, I will be keeping private, and you will find out in the next fantasy pay-per-view. The one I'm pulling from the free agent pool, which I actually have two 2 picks kind of sitting out there because I get one for Edge. We agreed on that last show.
That's correct. That is correct.
I will post that on the website this coming week.
So because Edge is out, you get to pick up 2 guys?
It's like fantasy. No. Because Edge is out, I get 1, and then I get to pick 2. Technically, I have 3 picks coming. 1 from Damian's roster and 2 free agent picks.
Huh.
It's like regular fantasy. I've got Edge sitting on the DL, and I get to pick up somebody for Edge.
And then when Edge comes back,
I have to drop.
Okay, I
like,
gotcha.
I dropped Batista, and I picked up Daphne.
Yeah, that was a good move.
Batista is injured, so he had
What
to
was
go.
the name of your
my last pay-per-view was New Blood Rising. The next pay-per-view will be Road Wild. Yeah, this is WCW.
WCW.
Which, as if Damian
if you're
were
not
here,
careful, that
yeah,
company's out of business.
Well, I'm going to say it right. Damian's not here, and I will say it for him. WCW is a defunct wrestling organization which was purchased by World Wrestling Entertainment in 2001.
There you go.
There you go, Damian.
All right. We have asked everyone tonight that has called in basically this question after tonight's Victory Road pay-per-view. Should the TNA pay-per-views be outside of the Impact Zone? And I wanted to get our opinion here. The overwhelming opinion from the callers is a yes, especially the main ones, like Slammiversary being an example. Dave, we'll start with you.
They need new fans. They need to get fresh fans in those buildings. But the problem they have is that when they do go on the road, they are notoriously known as a company that likes to paper a building.
Mm-hmm.
So they give away so many free tickets anyhow, the fans don't have an investment into the show. So they're not, so they could care less if they boo or cheer. They're just going to go
emotional,
there to hang out.
financial,
exactly.
whatever it is.
You have to care somehow.
And think about it. In both companies, and I've said this for the longest time, there isn't really any one wrestler that the fans get behind or that they want to cheer for.
Right now, I think they're trying to position AJ Styles as that guy. They're trying to position him.
If they
do,
then he either kicks off this show or he ends the show somehow, where he's chasing the title or he wins the title for you to care. If it's in the middle of a pay-per-view, they're going to forget.
But think about it. They put the Legends title on AJ Styles.
Which meant nothing.
It means nothing. He's not a legend yet. Yeah. He's a rising star, borderline superstar. He's not a legend.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I was asked, first of all, Meat, what do you think as far as...
concur with Dave here. The thing is that if they're unable to financially get out of the Impact Zone, then you got to be selective with your fans. You got to get rabid TNA fans in the door instead of just Universal Studio people in the door. You need wrestling fans in that building that are hot and heavy, want to spend money on merchandise and want to spend money on gimmicks such as T-shirts or whatever.
Did you look at the crowd?
Yeah.
When you watched it?
Yeah.
That's not those aren't wrestling fans.
Right, exactly. Yeah. And that's what I mean. If it's a free show, so if they're not going to go out of the building, they control the audience. You didn't pay a ticket, so if you bought a ticket and said you didn't want to cheer, that was your right not to cheer. You control the building, just like when Vince goes to buildings, he controls the building. Signs, the T-shirts that you're wearing, ringside, whatever. Control the building. Get your wrestling fans in there. Do like they do with The Price is Right or something, or Wheel of Fortune. Have somebody that watches the crowd and take the most rabid person in there and fill it in with marks. Fill it in with marks. That's what the wrestling show is about. That's what the wrestling gimmick is about. Period.
So right now, who is the face of TNA? If you were to ask a wrestling fan, and you think TNA, what wrestler?
I don't know.
It's Kurt Angle.
It's supposed to be Kurt Angle, but I mean, face or the actual legitimate body of TNA?
Yeah.
What's the first name you think of when you think TNA wrestling?
Right. I think Kurt Angle.
I do too. But I mean, when you say face, to me that means who's the top baby face in the company.
Well,
and I don't know who that is. It's supposed to be AJ Styles. It's supposed to be
Sting or Mick Foley.
It's supposed to be Mick Foley.
Faces.
Right. It's supposed to be Jeff Jarrett, even though Jeff Jarrett, technically is in the back. He just comes out to pop the crowd once in a while.
Because I look at AJ Styles as a guy that eventually you have to make happy. Now, I don't know if he could be extremely happy.
AJ Styles will never leave TNA because if he goes up, to the WWE, he'll be buried.
Small fish, big pond.
Think about it. Who has left TNA that has gone to work on Raw or SmackDown, but he was established, ahead of time?
Correct.
There's, who is it? The guy with James Storm as partner.
Oh, that was the
Braden
Walker.
Yeah. He lasted
That's
a minute.
3 shows.
Right.
Matter of fact, there's a 3 DVD set out there right now about his career in WWE on ECW.
Sonny Siaki. He was there, and he wound up at Developmental. Frankie Kazarian, he went there. He left after, a month. TNA wrestling is different than Raw and SmackDown. It's a different brand altogether. It's a different way of working.
And, it's funny because Kurt Angle has actually made himself into a TNA wrestler now. So if he went back to WWE, that'd be a new TNA wrestler in WWE.
And I have a funny hunch Kurt Angle's going to wind up back there to end his career.
Yeah, I guess it would make sense. Money talks at that point.
I think he will.
Well, we can't talk about it this week, but there's some shenanigans going on.
Who are you, Officer Barbrady?
No, there's some stuff going on backstage with, the owner of a company and an Olympic gold medalist.
Interesting.
It is interesting when you get to a point when Kurt Angle, I don't know when his contract is up with TNA. Do you think it gets into a bid war? Would WWE kind of look and go, maybe we could use
There's
you?
buy rates right there. Kurt Angle equals buy rates. I guarantee
Vince
it.
McMahon does not like Jeff Jarrett. I mean, if he gets a chance to put a dent in that company.
Then Jeff Jarrett held him up that one night with the IC belt.
That's what I'm talking about right
Yeah.
there.
But it would literally have to take more money than Kurt Angle's probably ever made for him to go back. Don't you agree?
It's a rigorous road schedule. It'd have to be a very uniquely worded contract for Kurt Angle to want to go
Kurt
back.
Angle goes back, he's just working TVs and pay-per-views. He's not working house shows anymore because his body won't hold up.
And for the most part,
without the medication.
Yeah.
For the most part, the Randy Ortons and the John Cenas are working house shows, but not as many as everybody else.
And do you think the Randy Ortons and John Cenas want Kurt Angle back because that's their paydays?
Why not?
Do you think they would help increase the paydays? You think so?
Of course. Randy Orton versus Kurt Angle right now?
That'd be
Randy
hot.
Orton versus John Cena?
It'd be hot.
It's all going to come down to the dollar. And Kurt Angle is...
It's all about the money.
Absolutely.
It's going to be interesting how and when that contract does come up, if it does get into a bid war. If he stays around, I know TNA would probably do everything they can.
I will say this. TNA did do one thing right tonight. Did you see all the new T-shirts? Kurt
They put out the
Angle's,
merchandise.
Tara's, Kevin Nash. They all finally got some new T-shirts.
Well, their timing was a little off, but I would have done it on the TV show where everyone can see. But they'll have them on this coming week.
Of course.
They have to market that where you see the Kurt Angle thing, start getting that word out.
Well, Kurt Angle has to be part of the Mafia, so he's going to come in a tuxedo or, in a suit jacket, so he's not going to be wearing a shirt. He'll wear a shirt down the ring, but that's about it.
Yeah, and unlike Matt Morgan, he won't take it off before he gets down there.
Hey, he's a young guy. He's still learning.
Hey, that's from the Bobby Heenan school.
I know.
If you have a nice, expensive robe, you wear it to the ring and let everybody see it.
Exactly.
That's right.
Exactly. Next week, after Major League Baseball, it's the White Sox and the Tigers. Right when that is done, that is next Sunday night, we will jump into the Night of the Champions.
So that means we need to root for a quick game.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
But we will talk about that.
That's awesome.
That is next Sunday.
Frank, I don't know if you heard Burley's scheduled to pitch. Burley, one of the Oh, yeah, I was going to say Burley, one of the fastest workers in Major League Baseball.
Well, you never know. It could be a rain out in the game because you can't
stop
it. We never know. For the man they call Meathead, Dave Hero, thank you very much. Damian Nelson in Orlando.
On his way to the Waffle House right now, too.
No, he's not. He's picking up a dancer.
And thank you all of the callers for calling in. Again, pbwrshow.com. Your comments are welcome. Visit the website, the chat, Muffbeer, and everything else. You have listened to the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN and ESPNMilwaukee.com.